It is the GTN Show and welcome along. Now, the end of the year is fast approaching, but we do have one more addition to our annual list of predictions to make a note of. On the racing front, we have got news of an exciting alternative race that rounded out the season, as well as the announcement of a very well-known race that's been lost from the calendar. And we have got a collection of your excellent photos that you've been sending us in.
Yeah, and I'm also going to give you a little bit of an update on how my Zwift Triathlon Academy attempts are going. We're getting to the meaty end of things now, and we've also done a hard TT race, but more about that later on. Plus, we're going to be discussing whether triathletes are a little bit lonely. Well, more to the point, whether you can actually benefit from training as a group. At the start of this year, we boldly made 11 predictions for 2019, and I'm proud to say that we were on point for 6 of them. Admittedly, we didn't manage to tick 3 of them off, and that left 2 remaining.
Yeah, I guess I've got to admit defeat here because I really thought the Trek were going to come out with a disparate ready version of the speed concept, but given we are almost through with 2019, I've given up all hope.
Yeah, I don't think that one's going to happen. Although that then left 1 remaining, and that was Adidas to come out with a competitor to the Nike Vaporfly 4%. And we got rather excited at the start of this month as there was news a new shoe was coming out, and it was an updated version of the Ultra Boost 20. However, it doesn't yet have the carbon footplate in, but it's quite an exciting development. So much so that Adidas have actually teamed up with the International Space Station US National Lab to develop this shoe. And they're working more with their focus on the midsole layer, which is all about that reactivity coming back, even though it isn't yet the carbon plate.
Yeah, so essentially they are sending these shoes to the International Space Station, and it does seem like a rather extravagant thing to do, but what they're doing this for is they say that it gives them a better ability to have a proper in-depth look at the molding process in the Ultra Boost, and that means that for future shoes they're going to have a much better idea of what they want to put into the shoe. So I guess that is quite interesting. But
yeah, I mean, I don't know what the shoe's going to cost after that sort of resource, and apparently taking out gravity means that they can, eliminate that complication. I mean, who knows that gravity gives that much complication?
One thing we probably should point out, just in case any of you thought that they were just sending one pair of shoes to space for the sake of, no, I mean, there is obviously an initial, or a cargo mission of sorts going up anyway, and they've just slotted in the little extra.
Glad you clarified that one.
Yeah, I know. Right then, now moving back to Planet Earth, or maybe even Planet Strava, because it is that time of year when there's annual reports come out, and the Strava version has caught our eye, and there's quite a few interesting take-home points, particularly for triathletes and triathlon in general, and you've got some more news about that.
Yeah, well, naturally, as triathletes, we're known as all-rounders, and it sounds as though we might be gaining some company. So Strava have taken stats from all of the activities that have been uploaded over the last year, and it looks as though single-sport athletes are on the decline. And it turns out that the core sport that the athletes actually do is being complemented with other sports, and the 3 most popular are walking, yoga, and most significantly, it's actually weight training that's up 289%. I have to admit that this makes me happy for 2 reasons. The part one is maybe a little more tenuous in the fact that if someone is doing more than one sport, then surely they're getting a little bit closer to becoming a triathlete. Now, I know that the sports that they're doing on the whole aren't swimming, cycling and running, but still, just learning to do more than one sport and fitting it into your week has got to contribute somehow. The second one, however, is probably more relevant in the fact that people are realizing the benefits of cross-training and sports that can actually help their core sport. And walking is obviously helpful with time on the legs when it comes to running, but more significantly, it's yoga and strength training, because I mean, we're always going on about the importance of how strength and flexibility can help with pretty much any sport.
Yeah, and there's also some motivational issues being flagged up here, and that's perhaps no surprise at this time of year. And it is probably also no surprise that by doing things with other people, you're likely to do them for longer and with a higher frequency. And from stats in the US that are recorded, at least, there's 1 in 4 people are recording activities done in groups. Now that is of course only those that are being recorded on Strava, but the numbers do get better when you're talking about cycling, because actually 49% of all bike rides that were logged were done in groups, and the added bonus of those is that up to, well, twice of the distances were covered when you were done in groups and for longer durations as well.
Yeah, win-win. Well, sticking with motivation, from the stats that Strava have got from the athletes who signed up to the Summit feature, so basically setting goals, in January, 96% of those who sort of said, right, this is what we're going to do, were still active come July, which I reckon is quite a high percentage than the amount of people who sign up for a gym in January and are still going when it comes to July.
Now, it's that last stat there that is interesting, but perhaps not really that surprising either, because as we know, virtual cycling is on the up and the up. But those who are logging their rides on Strava for indoor rides, should I say, well, those numbers have gone up threefold in the last 3 years alone. And perhaps that makes us think, well, should triathletes be spending a little bit more time training together in groups?
Well, it's that age-old discussion, isn't it? And it comes down to our nemesis, time. Now, we know if you're training for 3 sports, swimming, cycling and running, you're going to be struggling to fit that in. And then trying to combine that with somebody else who's equally strapped for time and trying to combine those schedules is near on impossible.
Yeah, now that's another thing that we have talked about on the channel in the past, and that is the stereotype of the lone wolf. And us as triathletes, we're quite prone to just going out there and getting things done on our own. And that might in part be because we're used to racing on our own. It's an individual sport, of course, and then that probably prompts us, I would think, perhaps to go out there and just get our training completed on our own as well.
But maybe we are missing a trick after all. I know definitely for me at this time of year, I have to get someone else to come and train with me just for the commitment side of it. Otherwise, I'm never going to get out the door because I'm a little bit lazy when it's dark and miserable.
Cheers.
But yeah, very much. But we want to know what you guys think and whether training with a group helps you, or even just training with an individual training partner, whether that's just to get you out the door or to actually motivate you whilst you're doing that session. So it brings us to the poll. We want to know yes or no, are you motivated, or does it help you with your training by joining someone else? You can vote on that by just clicking up here.
Yeah, and that takes us on to what we asked in last week's poll, which is when we asked you guys, what is it that you have done mistakes-wise in your winter training?
Yeah, well, the results are in, and it was joint at the bottom for getting injured and other. That was at 12%.
Yeah, and then we had overindulging at 32%.
But the biggest one, again, leading on from that last point, 44% of you said lacking motivation, and I'm afraid I'm with you on that one.
Now moving on to our Tri news. Now, unfortunately, we have got news of a race being cancelled. Now, it isn't actually that uncommon for races to get postponed or curtailed due to natural reasons, maybe something like algae in the water or pollution, but as far as I can remember, political unrest has never been a reason for an event being cancelled, but unfortunately that is the reason for one of the oldest 70.3s on the World Tour to be cancelled this coming January, and that is Ironman 70.3 Pucón in Chile. We do hope that it's going to come back in the following years though.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely do. I was really saddened to hear this news because I have just come back from 2 weeks in Chile and spent the last few days of my holiday in Pucón where they hold the event.
I was very jealous when she said
yeah, I mean, I didn't
there.
really know about that event, but loads of people have messaged me saying, oh, you're there for the triathlon or you should come back, and I was like, yeah, I'm going to add that to my bucket list, and then came back to hear that. And sadly, they've been having some economic unrest and there's been riots and things in the country, mainly in Santiago, and thankfully I didn't see anything whilst I was there. So, you know, really hope that they've got it sorted by next year, because apparently that triathlon's been going since 1984.
Gosh, almost as old as me. But talking about an event that is definitely going to be starting again, we've got news of the announcement for the ITU World Multisport Championship events, which will happen in Townsville in Queensland, Australia in August of 2021. The 10-day event is happening between August the 6th and August the 15th in 2021. And this event has been running now for, well, this will be its 5th event, should I say. It's been running for 3 years at the moment, but the first event took place in Penticton in 2017. Seems to be a really successful concept that ITU have done here. They've dragged together all of their individual World Championship events, and that includes the likes of duathlon, it includes the likes of aquathlon, aquabike now that they've added in, that's a new one. You've got long distance triathlon, and there's mixed relays in there as well. Now, and finally, we have talked about the new steering function that Zwift have added into their platform back in October, I think we did. And this is all part of a whole new off-road section that they're going to have in their programming. Off-road programming in particular you can now have a look at, as well as all sorts of different off-road types of bikes. Gravel, mountain bike, I think you've even got cyclocross in there. So there's all sorts of explanations as well as to the type of riding you might want to do in each of these bikes, and just give you a little bit more of a flair for all the different off-road riding available.
Yeah, I mean, I know you are staying indoors, but here we're always at GTN kind of advocating doing cross-training. It's really good to supplement your triathlon. And I know this isn't quite like getting out and dirty and really learning the road skills, but I reckon it could count as cross-training.
Well, I suppose it's
different anyway.
Yeah, no, I'll give you that one. Now, keeping with the Zwift theme, you've been getting involved, shall we say, on the Zwift Academy. So give us an update. How's things going? Although I do know that your running is not.
Yeah,
so
I like the way you use involved, because involved is probably a very good description. I'm not quite being competitive with the Zwift Triathlon Academy, but I am. It's not because I'm not trying. It's just things have got in the way. And yeah, running most certainly I'm struggling with. I've only done one sort of run session properly. I've got to do 4 sessions and then the running race. I have till the 12th of Jan, so
loads of time.
Yeah, I'm kind of going to do the running race probably on like the 11th of January in the hope that I can get fit up
Get
for
the
Christmas
fitness up.
and New Year. But I did have a little bit of dog bite drama, which is another story, but it stopped me running for quite a few weeks, plus my last holiday, which was a cycling holiday. So yeah, running is the one that needs a little bit of catch up, I think it's fair to say.
But you have had to do a time trial effort on the bike, haven't you?
Yeah, so I've actually been doing fairly well. I say well, like as in going through the programme. So there's 6 bike workouts and 1 TT race. I've done 5 of the bike workouts, I've just got 1 left. And the TT race, I thought I probably should do it before Christmas, because realistically, I know I'm not anywhere near as fit as I want to be, but I think I'm gonna. Yeah, I don't think it's gonna get any better. So I have done it. It was just over 22k, and I haven't really done many TTs in my life. Never done one, with on a turbo trainer. So it's pretty nasty. But I think we've got a few clips of me doing it just here. Oh wow, that was super tough. But so I can't even hold the GoPro still. I'm shaking, and I've got sweat dripping into my eyes. I did recover, well, I did finish a few minutes ago, so I have got my breath back. That was an experience, and one that, in a weird way, I want to do again, because I think I can do it better. But that is my TT race done. But the great thing about the Zwift Academy, if you're not happy with your performance and you think you can get fitter, you can go back and do it again. So I don't know how it stacks up with everyone else. I need to have a look at the results, but it was less than 40 minutes, let's just put it that way. And I think I've improved my FTP by quite a bit more, or maybe I was just a little bit fitter than I thought it was. So there's definitely some positives, although I think my pacing could do a bit of work. But all in all, that's my TT race done, and I'm now can relax for Christmas and try and concentrate on some running. Whew.
Now moving on to our race news, and we just have one solitary event to talk about this week, but it is a really interesting one. It is the Challenge Daytona. I'm going to say half, but it wasn't a half because it was a bit of a funny distance. The swim was 1 mile, the bike was 37.5 miles, and the run was 8.2 miles. Now those rather strange distances are dictated by the venue that they used here, which was the Daytona International Speedway, and they used the racing circuit for the bike and part of that as well, I think, for the run. But what was really interesting about this race was last year, rewind a year, they had to shorten everything and squash it all up because there was thunder and lightning storms and they couldn't do their proposed half Ironman or middle distance race event. The athletes thought it was brilliant, so they thought, cool, we'll just stick with it. And this year they stuck it inside the speedway at night, so they used all the lights.
Yeah, it looked pretty impressive, and I think it's brought out some rather fast times as well.
Yeah, exactly. So basically the dynamic on the men's race, which was a really pretty impressive field, was a large group of guys coming out of the water together, but one set into the bike, it was a familiar face of Andrew Starkovich blasting away, and you think it was at 30 miles an hour?
I think just over 30 miles an hour he averaged,
which
for the
is
whole bike.
Incredibly fast, but it was obviously a pancake flat ride that they did inside the oval there in Daytona. The equally fast Lionel Sanders was not too far behind, and he closed the gap with Pablo Dubina Gonzalez. They exited onto the run some 50 seconds behind Andrew Starkovich, and then those two had a really good battle on that run, and it was Lionel Sanders who came out on tops. He won from Pablo Dubina Gonzalez, and third place went to American Jason West, with Andrew Starkovich holding on for fourth. Really great.
Yeah, well, the women's side, the shortened swim didn't favour Lucy Charles. She obviously came out the water first. I think she had just over a minute ahead of the likes of Paula Finley and Lisa Norden. But then on the bike, it was those two who actually worked together relatively and closed that gap on Lucy. And I think by T2, there was very little separating the three of them. And out onto the run, it was Lucy Charles who actually stuck with Paula Finley for quite a long way. But soon Lisa Norden dropped back. She ended up finishing third, but I think 5 minutes behind the winner. And then it was Paula Finley with, I guess, that speed that she's got from racing ITU, that she managed to run away, and she won by almost a minute ahead of Lucy Charles Barkley. All right, it's time to have a look at some of your photos and get us feeling a little bit more motivated on this December cold, dark day. And this first one is from sunny Bahrain, sent in by Artem, and it's his Planet X EX03 with his full SRAM red E-tap setup, Karima wheel set, and Zip VUCA aerobar.
No, it's a really good looking steed you've got here, Artem. Thanks for sending us in this picture. Those Karima wheels look really, really fast. You don't see Karima wheels that much anymore, so it's nice to see a bike with those on. In fact, equally, Planet X bikes we don't see that much of.
No.
So your whole setup is definitely one that we don't get very often. So thanks for doing that. Our next one here is from Morton. Made us chuckle. It definitely did, because Morton is having, well, he's having a date, isn't he? I mean, basically, he's got the wine out, he's got candles. Never really seen anything quite like this, but I really appreciate your sense of humour.
Yeah, and I like the effort that he's gone to. This is brilliant. So he says, right before taking my indoor bike to be sat up on the home trainer, I captured the moment, slowly getting ready for my first Ironman in Copenhagen 2020.
Yeah, and Karen, I mean, he's from Esbjerg in Denmark, and I didn't actually recognise the brand of his bike, an SCO Rebel Shimano 105, and I looked it up, so that's a Danish brand I figured out. So thanks for sending that in. I've learned something new today.
Nice, love it. Well, next up, we've got this pain cave sent in from Brent, and he's in New Zealand, so I don't know if it's a current setup.
He's also, sorry to butt in, Heather, but he's also not from Kelso in Scotland, it's Kelso in New Zealand.
Yeah, it is, but I'm more sort of upset by the fact that Brent is training indoors whilst it's summer in New Zealand. I know your summer isn't always amazing, but, you know, get outside and enjoy some sunshine if you can. I would. Anyway, sorry, got distracted. So it's his specialised Roubaix, which he's got set up on the trainer, and he says, showing my place where ego goes to die.
Well, I mean, you're being hard on yourself there. It's not, as far as I can see in this picture, we've got no TV or laptop. I don't even see a radio or anything to take the mind-numbiness of turbo training away.
Well, he says, I've got no excuses, although try and make as many excuses as you can. Well, we've just given you a few, so sorry about that.
But thanks for sending it in. It's always good to get. We don't get many from New Zealand. And our next one, well, that's a bit closer to home. It's from Munich. It is Remy and his Canyon Speedmax CF SLX 9.0 SL.
Yeah, this is another sort of very precise looking setup, but unsurprisingly, it's his winter training at Guustavv Military University, which can start now apparently. So not quite done yet with his pain cave. Not sure what my superior would say if he saw my setup. So I presume that's reference to not being tidy, but it's the tidiest sort of one we've seen.
I figured it was the fact that the bike shouldn't be in the room. I mean, I think it's immaculate. I mean, look at those jeans folded up on the side.
You would appreciate that, Fraser, I'm sure.
I think that's a good one.
Well, this last one is sent in from Andre, and it's his Merida. Not sure what model it is. I like this. Got it from a friend using it to commute, and this is in Gran Canaria.
No, this is a really good. I'd call this a hack, really. I mean, this is not having a bike stand, saying I don't have something to, I guess, tune the gears or keep the bike up off the ground, and for washing as well. So came up with this rather ingenious solution, which was 2 rubber bands you'd normally use to tie something in the car, and he's tied that onto a pipe that he has just rested up above the wall, and hey presto, he's got.
Yeah, I mean, it's not quite hey presto, because I imagine it takes quite a lot of work, and if you sort of put too much pressure on the bike, you're going to have it sort of bouncing up and down. But
don't ruin it.
Sorry, no, it does look really good. We love hacks here, but we also just generally love your photos, so carry on sharing them using the GTN uploader.
Okay, so now it's time for our caption competition of the week. Now, what have we got, Heather?
We had this picture from the Santo Domingo World Cup, and we've narrowed it down to 4 this week. So one of our runners-up comes from Y9, and it says, when a panorama picture goes wrong.
Yeah, and then we have Tony Thomas. He says, and the winner for the perfect time-lapse beach start photo, which is quite good.
Yeah,
and
our final runner-up comes from Lord Burt. Now, Lord Burt has asked that this voice is using David Attenborough's voice. Now, we aren't any experts, but we've got a little bit of an attempt. Here we go.
Some say the evolution of mankind has reversed, and we shall return to the sea from whence we came.
Right, and we've got a winner of our caption competition. Mr. Beckett says human devolution, which I suppose is a reverse of human evolution because they're going back into the sea. Or anyway, send us in your details and you'll get your cap.
Yeah, hopefully in time for Christmas. Anyway, for your chance to win another GTN cap, we've got this picture from Otillo in Uto.
Yeah, no, this is one of the islands that's in the famous stretch for the full Otillo, but I think this is one of the shorter events, Uto. I'm not entirely sure of the full distance to swim around, but either way, let us know what you think's going on there. Some sort of proposition, perhaps? I mean,
Mid-race, you never know, yeah.
But
There's been stranger things happen in triathlons and swim run events, I'm sure.
yeah, so give us your take on that situation from the O2 event.
Yeah, leave those in the comments section below. And that then rounds us up for this week. Our next week's show is actually going to be on Christmas Day, so a Christmas special. But between now and then, we've got plenty coming up, including a Christmas calorie burn-off versus, which is a pretty cool video, which I'm excited to actually watch. And we've also got bloopers, which I'm afraid to say, Fraser, you do feature quite heavily in.
I do, and that's not a surprise because I make an awful lot of mistakes.
Oh, not at all. It's a fun video. I'd recommend watching it.
Yeah, no, it is. Now, talking about all things Christmas as well, please have a look in our shop because there's a whole bunch of stuff in there that hopefully you might like to get for friends, family, loved ones, etc. So give that a little look. Hopefully you've enjoyed this video as well. Of course, please hit that thumb up like button. Find the globe on screen to make sure you don't miss any of other videos, bloopers included. And if you want to see another video that we did, well, how to improve your run form is here.
And if you want to see a bit more on the calorie theme, swimming versus running, if you want to burn off those calories after Christmas, you can find that just here.